Good morning and welcome to Redeemer Lutheran Church. I'm Pastor Gary Lodeholt. If you notice that I'm not recording from the church right now, it's because we're having a home repair done and I'm at home this morning. All too often our questions linger in our lives unasked and unanswered. This week in our time together, we're looking at some stories when people came to Jesus with a question. Today we continue the story from yesterday. It's just like a lawyer, isn't it? Of course, there are good lawyers, many of them, but this guy who shows up in our story today has all the worst characteristics we might expect. This is the same guy who asked the question yesterday. Then he asked, "What must I do to inherit eternal life?" But you see, the problem was that he didn't really want to know the answer. He wasn't really seeking God with his heart. Rather, he was seeking to test Jesus, to engage Jesus in debate, to show that Jesus had some sort of flawed theology, or that Jesus didn't know the scriptures as well as he did. But then Jesus led him to the right answer. You shall love the Lord with all your heart and soul and strength, and your neighbor as yourself. But the lawyer didn't let it go at that. He wanted to justify himself. He hadn't come off looking too good in that first exchange with Jesus, and so he did a lawyerly thing, and he began looking for the limits established by this love contract. He was looking for loopholes and what little he could get away with. So he asked a follow-up question. Who is my neighbor? It's a question as old as can be. Indeed, one of the first questions ever asked. Way back in Genesis, Cain asked it first. Am I my brother's keeper? Well, the answer was yes. But throughout time, we ask that same question over and over, seeing just how little we can get away with, seeing if we can establish where the boundaries are for who we have to care for and who we can push aside, seeking the limits of love and the least bit of effort required of us, seeking to find just how little we have to give so that there's more and more left over for us. And just like that lawyer, this is our question. We'll do what we have to, but not a bit more. And when you get right down to it, that's not really caring about anybody but ourselves, is it? Who is my neighbor, we ask Jesus, hoping the answer will be the people around us, the people we know and are comfortable with, the people who are like us, the people who probably don't have much need, so that even if we do help, it's not too much of an inconvenience. How far does this love thing go, we wonder? And more importantly, where does it stop? To answer, Jesus told a story about a man beaten and robbed and lying beside the road. Two different kinds of religious leaders passed by without helping, but then a third-class citizen, an outcast, someone we wouldn't invite home with us, did stop to help. Jesus said, "Which of these was a neighbor to the victim?" And the lawyer said, "The one who showed him." And Jesus said, "Go and do likewise." And you see, what Jesus did there was to turn the tables on this lawyer and on us too. Who is my neighbor, the lawyer asked, looking for the little he could get away with. Who is my neighbor, we ask, looking for the limits of our love. And Jesus turns that question around to ask him and to ask us, whom are you a neighbor to? Neighbors aren't determined by proximity. Neighbors are determined by need. And the call is to be a neighbor wherever there is need. And there are no limits on the love we are called to give, just as there is no limit to the love we receive, to the mercy we receive from God. Go and do likewise. Thanks for watching, and remember to let this day belong to God.